Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Professor. I'm Anukriti. I and my teammates Arvind, Bimal, and Yesha of Group 6 are here to give our presentation on the topic The Evolution of Dark Web Cybercrime from Silk Road, Alphabet, and Kronos malware to our evil and dark side ransomware cartels, and why more effective 24/7 and holiday protections are needed. Group 6 consists of 7 people. We have divided ourselves into 2 groups, and then the next group will be presenting the second topic in the next class. Without further delay, let's get into the topic. Let's first know the basic context about dark web. Dark web is one of the 3 layers of the internet. As the biggest global system that holds information about everything and almost everyone, the internet comes in 3 layers: the surface web or the visible web, then the deep web, and the dark web. And some layers have exponentially more data than others. The internet has become more complex by the day, but it is also intimidating. With so much we don't know and cannot control, it's normal to feel anxious, especially when we run into news and reports about the dark web. We instinctively associate this name with something threatening. What is surface web? If you want to know about something, the first thing you do is Google it. The World Wide Web that we use regularly using the search engines Google, Firefox, Yahoo, and so on is basically the surface web. The internet runs far deeper and wider than any of us can imagine. The surface web, which we know as the World Wide Web, is a mere 10% of the entire web based on estimates. So you can access nearly 2 billion public websites through search engines, from Wikipedia to public sector websites and news sites. While that number keeps changing every second, most web pages on the internet remain hidden from the average everyday user. Why? Because not all the information we can access online belongs in the public domain. Surprisingly, we do not spend much time using the surface web. We are spending most of our time on the deep web. Most of the digital content in the world is not accessible via web search engines. This huge amount of information exists on the deep web or the hidden web, where almost all online activities take place. The deep web hosts information that usually requires a username and a password to access, mainly for security and privacy related reasons. You actually use the deep web as part of your daily routine. Every time you log into your email account, check out your online banking details, or use social media, you're on the deep web. Let's understand this with an example. Imagine you visit your bank's main website. That is the surface web. Now imagine all of the clients this bank has. Each of them have a personal online profile in the bank's database. Now this information is not available to anyone unless you have the correct username and password. So for each of the clients, there's one page on the deep web that only they can access. Do you see how much bigger the deep web is? For each page on the surface web, there might be millions of pages on the deep web. Many of the activities on the deep web involve personally identifiable information such as medical and legal documents, financial records, academic research, intellectual property, confidential commercial data, and more. While you may not be using the term deep web daily or ever, it's part of your life more than you realize. Some of the entities of deep web include databases of different websites, social media apps, online banking, email, forums, paywall protected content, and many more. If you think of the web like an iceberg, as you can see in the picture, you've got the surface web up top, that's the internet you see and use every day. What's submerged is the deep web, which is an anonymous online space that is only accessible to specific software. And then there's the dark web, which is a part of the deep web that hides your identity and location. Now let's get to know what dark web is. Dark web is a hidden network in the deep web. It is a series of encrypted networks that serve to anonymize people's use on the internet. While no one can pinpoint the origins of dark web, it's now referenced in many conversations about digital security as the root cause of many security issues. Essentially, the dark web uses a cluster of nodes and networks called darknets. These include, but aren't limited to, peer-to-peer networks, small and big, including Tor and Freenet, which organizations and individuals operate and use. Sites within the dark web use anonymity software, wired nodes, to ensure that visitors are basically untraceable. It's relatively easy for anyone to access this encrypted network. All it takes is downloading darknet software. The most common dark web networks are Tor, I2P, and Freenet, but Tor is the most popular. Let's get to know a bit more about the Tor browser. Tor stands for the Onion Routing Project. It was developed by the US Navy for the government in the mid-1990s. But it was open sourced in 2004, and that's when it went public. Tor is now the dark web browser that the vast majority of people use to anonymously surf the internet. To understand how Tor actually works, you need to know what happens when you typically search the web. Think of the IP address as an online identity. Any device you use to connect to the internet has one. Each time you visit a website, you can be traced back to your exact location thanks to that IP address. The Tor browser looks like any other except that there's a whole lot happening that you don't see. Instead of your connection request bouncing from its origin right to its destination, Tor sends your request on a much more roundabout route. Let's say you're in New York and you want to search a site hosted in New Jersey. Instead of connecting you directly, the Tor browser takes you on at least 3 random detours called relays. Your request could go from New York to Germany, from Germany to Hong Kong, and from Hong Kong to New Jersey. Tor is comprised of people from all over the planet who are donating their computers to the network. It has more than 7,000 relays to choose from. Bouncing your request around to random computers all over the world makes it much harder for people to find you. A software firm called Hyperion Grey put together a map showing all 6,608 dark websites crawled during January 2018. For some users, like journalists or whistleblowers, the dark web is about identity protection. It's where individuals can share anonymous tips with the press on secure drop sites. But more often than not, it's tied to the world of cybercrime. Special agents who work with the cybercrime are looking for threats for the kinds of users who want this full cloak of anonymity in order to mask their legal activity. Putting a stop to this kind of crime has been described as a never-ending game for law enforcement. The anonymity of the dark web can sometimes play to the law's advantage. No ID and no location mean you never really know who's communicating with you. Now let's get to know why the dark web is dangerous. Cybercriminals and other bad actors heavily rely on dark web's capabilities in a variety of illegal ways. Marketplaces and forums are the main hub for illegal activity on the dark web, where criminals trade unlawful goods and services that support the underground economy. Some of the illicit products lawbreakers and scammers sell and buy on these black markets include stolen and counterfeit data, which comes in many varieties, such as personal data, also called PII, which is personally identifiable information. This includes full names, home addresses, phone numbers, birth dates, social security numbers, hacked email addresses, and many more details that can pinpoint you as an individual. The second one is financial data. Stolen credit card details, online banking usernames and passwords, credentials for cryptocurrency accounts, banking and insurance records, and much more. Next comes the online account login data. This data is typically comprised of a username-password combination which provide access to accounts ranging from social media to ride-sharing and video streaming services to paid professional services including genetic testing and even antivirus products. Then there's the medical data, also called PHI, which is personal health information. This covers your medical history, prescriptions, biometric data including fingerprints and images of your face, test results, billing information from medical facilities, and other sensitive details. This can lead to medical identity theft or even fingerprint identity theft. Then comes the confidential corporate data. This includes classified information such as intellectual property, patents, competitive intelligence, and other operational details. And the forged data. This is mostly the fake passports, stolen driver's licenses and IDs, bank drafts, and many more. Aside from personal information obtained through data breaches and various other sorts of cyber attacks and online frauds, these black markets also provide illegal substances access to growing cyber threats and viruses, and even hitmen for hire. So the most common example of a dark web website is the Silk Road. The most well-known dark web marketplace, Silk Road, served over 100,000 customers at its height. The site quickly rose to prominence as the top underground marketplace, particularly among drug dealers. In 2013, the FBI shut down Silk Road, however, before permanent closure, version 2.0 briefly went back online. Some of the services it offered was the assault rifle you can buy on the internet, the UK passports. This is a dedicated site for UK passports with the name of your choice, and counterfeit USD in exchange for bitcoins. Now, let's get to know the types of services cybercriminals can access on the dark web. On the dark web's underground markets, cybercriminals exchange personal information for just a few bucks. You must be thinking that all this comes at a higher cost, but no. Details for credit cards carrying a balance up to $1,000 cost $150 on average. Stolen online banking login details for an account with a balance of at least $100 go for just $40. A hacked Uber rider account goes for just $4. Netflix account with a paid one-year subscription is worth $44. More out-of-reach commodities such as a French passport can cost up to $4,000. Dark web marketplaces even have rating and review systems to help potential customers find reliable merchants. According to the Dark Web Price Index, it should come as no surprise that These illegal markets are seeing a significant increase in supply given all of these characteristics and the lure of cybercrime riches. Now let's get to know other malicious activities on deep web. Besides selling personal data and compromised accounts, cybercriminals also trade and sell the elements that are needed to launch cyber attacks, spying, and other malicious activities on the dark web. The first one is exploit kits. Toolkits used by cybercriminals to target system vulnerabilities and then spread malware. The second one is ready-to-use malicious software or malware. This includes keyloggers that record every key pushed on a device, ransomware, information threat, spyware, adware, and rootkits, which are notoriously difficult to spot and stop worms and trojans. The third one is malware as a service. This is a subscription-based business model that leases the tools cybercriminals need to launch attacks, including malicious software, a distribution network, a variety of targets, technical assistance, and a dashboard for the project manager. The next one is software vulnerabilities. A mystery. This is basically a mystery to the program developer called 0 days. This gives cybercriminals a concealed entry point to enterprises. The next one is access to networks of compromised devices. These provide the computer resources necessary for malicious hackers to execute their attacks. The next is distributed denial of service. Services that combine the power of large botnets to overwhelm victims' system with traffic to the point where both the victims and the services they provide go offline. The next is cybercriminal training. Through the use of this is usually done through the use of tutorials, manuals, and other content kinds that help bad actors gain new skills for a variety of roles. And the last one is money laundering. This basically enables con artists to transfer and transform the money they steal, extort, or otherwise take from their victims into clean, untraceable currency. Now the question is if the dark web is illegal. So despite its menacing name, the dark web is not illegal, nor is it unlawful to access it. However, the undeniable fact is that most of the activities that happen on the dark web are related to criminal actions. So let's get to see some of the dangers of the dark web. The first one is that you risk your freedom and could face severe legal consequences. You could be subject to harsh legal consequences if you are found purchasing an unlicensed firearm or illegal drugs, or if you accidentally visit a website with child pornography while searching the dark web. The second one is that there are no security provisions. The security features you're used to on the World Wide Web, such integrated security against malicious websites in your web browser are not present on this portion of the Internet. For instance, both Chrome and Firefox alert you to risky websites that use phishing to steal your data. On the Tor browser, this is not a problem. The third one is risk of device infection. Going on the dark web puts you at a risk of infecting your devices with malware, ransomware, and Trojan horse viruses unless you have a special cybersecurity configuration. The last one is financial scams. Given the illegal nature of discussions and exchanges on the dark web, you could unknowingly fall for a scam, join as an accomplice, or face legal trouble. To picture the loss that cybercrime is inflicting on its victims, let's look at a few key numbers. Reported cybercrime damages added up to 4.2 billion US dollars in 2020 alone. Since only a fraction of cyber attacks and incidents actually get reported, the harm is much more extensive. The graph here shows the amount of monetary damages caused by cybercrime. As you can see, the graph increases exponentially from the year 2001 to 2020 and even more. Now, let's get to know some of the most despicable examples of cyber attacks that originate from dark web transactions. The first one is putting patients' lives at risk when hospitals get infected with ransomware. Causing school closures that affect children, teachers, and their families. Blocking access to local government resources, which often affects vulnerable people. Provoking gas and water shortages, which directly affect the quality of life for many. Disrupting transportation systems and other consequences that threaten people's safety and health, including your own. Now, I'd like to give the floor to Arvind to explain about the evolution of dark web.
Thank you, Anukriti. I'll be talking about the evolution of dark web cybercrime. Dark web is one of the most challenging and untraceable mediums adopted by the cyber criminals, terrorists, and state-sponsored spies to fulfill their illicit motives. Cyber crimes happening inside the dark web are unlike the real-world crimes. However, the sheer size, unpredictable ecosystem, and anonymity provided by the dark web services are the essential confrontations to trace the criminals. To discover the potential solution towards the cybercrimes, evaluating the salient dark web criminal threats is a crucial step. The World Wide Web Services is a complex system that consists of unprecedented amount of digital information. The normal internet used daily is accessible through standard search engines such as Google and Yahoo. However, there are large sections of the internet that is unindexed and hidden from the normal search engines. This concealed part of the internet is deep web, which is estimated to make up to about 96% of the World Wide Web. Within the deep web, a subnet that is mostly used for illicit purpose is the dark web or darknet. Criminal activities and illegal contents are used with a percentage of 57% in the dark web. These commonly include illegitimate drugs, weapon traffickings, child pornography, stolen financial details, unlawful discussions, fake currencies, terrorist communication, and more. In 2013, when the US Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI) shut down the most infamous marketplace, Silk Road, operating in the dark web, these criminal activities caught the attention of the public. Hidden wiki and deep search engines are the way to browse malicious intents and illicit contents in the dark web. These sites provide links access to many other links in the deep web. One of the main obstacles the forensic analysis face while investigating the criminal activity in the dark web is the anonymity present in the dark web services. The contents and the services provided by the dark web are commonly used by anonymous services such as Tor, Freenet, I2P, and John Donne. Most popular service in the dark web is the Tor network, which provides the facility for the users to secretly share information anonymously via peer-to-peer connections instead of a centralized computer server. This service was intended to access blocked content, use censorship, and maintain privacy of sensitive communications by US Naval's Research Laboratory in 2002. Monitoring the dark web is very challenging due to the anonymous design structure of the Tor network. Criminals utilize the Onion router for navigating the dark web because the untraceable and difficult to shut down infrastructure of Tor. This is one of the reasons for the immense pressure on security agencies and law enforcement for monitoring and tracing the activities in the dark web. Criminals usually set up a relay station in the Tor and conceal their criminal activities in the dark web. As a result, only the last Tor exit relay is located by the law enforcement when they link the IP address to identify the committed crime using the Tor browser. Researchers have developed various strategies and methods to monitor and detect different crimes and criminals in the deep web. Memex project, developed and implemented by the United States Defense Advanced Research Project Agency (DARPA), is one of the most successful data mining tools in the dark web. Some of the techniques to proactively monitor the hidden parts of the internet was discussed in a study that included mapping the hidden service directory, social site monitoring, customer data monitoring, semantic analysis, and marketplace profiling. Law enforcement has also applied various methods to locate criminals. Those include social media, IP addresses, monitor activities of users, monitor Bitcoin accounts. For anyone to access the dark web, a special type of software and web browser is required. The most well-known and frequently used software is the Tor browser, which stands for the Onion Router. Tor protects the anonymity of its users by using multiple layers of encryption. Keep in mind, dark web is the same thing as the deep web. Both aren't indexed by search engines, but the dark web requires specific web browsers with encrypted IP addresses. Tor's secretive sites end in Onion, also known as for hidden services. Onion sites can be accessed with any other type of web browsers. Dark web history is packed with government influence. Onion routing. The core principle that enables Tor to retain its users' anonymity was developed and funded in the mid-1990s by the US federal government. Onion routing was created to protect individuals in the intelligence community by allowing them to communicate anonymously. It also served to protect whistleblowers, allow freedom of thought and expression for citizens and journalists who lived under oppressive regimes, and kept many others out of danger by protecting their anonymity. Even today, it still serves the same purpose for many people around the world. Onion routing was first developed by the US National Research Laboratory by scientists Paul Syverson, David Goldschlag, and Michael Reed. The project developed continued through the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency (DARPA) until the US Navy planted onion routing in 1998. After onion routing was patented, additional computer scientists joined the original development team in 2002 and created the biggest project for onion routing yet, the Onion Routing Project, now commonly known as the Tor project. The Navy would later release the code for Tor under a free license. Then in 2006, several of the same scientists who developed Tor founded the Tor project, based on non-profit organization. The Tor project maintains the software and the browser of the same name and still receives funding from US government. Current and past sponsors of the Tor project include multiple branches of the US government, including the Department of Defense as well as governments of other modernized countries, human rights foundations, and many others. These sponsors fund the Tor project because they believe it helps to protect advocates of the democracy in authorization states. The Tor project maintains that while it accepts federal funding, the organization does not work under the NSA to reveal the identities of any of its users. While, while Tor and similar dark web software browsers have uses that keep people safe, the anonymity that it provides can be exploited for criminal purposes. The dark web created a unique opportunity for digital black markets to thrive, and people began to take advantage. The transactions on the dark web were often carried out with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, which are unregulated and difficult to track by the other users. These transactions can range from drug and weapon purchases to illicit pornography and even have been used in human trafficking. While new hidden services frequently pop up, law enforcement agencies continuously work to bust these dark marketplaces. Even though Tor is known for keeping its users anonymous, when these sites become big enough, law enforcement will almost always find a way to infiltrate it. One particular infamous example of this is the story of the Silk Road, the story that caused many people to hear about the dark web for the first time, which we will be discussing in the coming slides. Silk Road was a digital black market platform that was popular for hosting money laundering activities and illegal drug transactions using Bitcoin. Silk Road, regarded as the first darknet market, was launched in 2011 and eventually shut down by the FBI in 2013. It was founded by Ross William, who is now serving a life sentence in prison for his role in Silk Road. As part of the dark web, it was operated as a Tor hidden service, such that online users were able to browse it anonymously and securely without potential traffic monitoring. Initially, there were a limited number of new seller accounts available. New sellers had to purchase an account in an auction. Later, a fixed fee was charged for each new seller account. Silk Road provided goods and services to over 100,000 buyers. The name Silk Road came from a historical network of trade routes started during the Han Dynasty between Europe, India, China, and many other countries on the Afro-Eurasian landmass. Silk Road was operated by the pseudonyms Dread Pirate Roberts, who was known for exposing libertarians' ideals and criticizing regulations. Two other individuals were also closely involved in the site's growth and success, known as Variety Jones and Smedley. Understanding Silk Road. The digital era has brought many technology innovations to our home fronts and disrupted life as we know it. We can now conduct transactions online with e-commerce sites, pay for online transactions using virtual currency, get loans online using social lending sites, operate anonymously on the web using data anonymization technology, and even connect with company recruiters using social media sites. The list of digital technology inventions goes on and ventures into every sector of the world economy, such as the financial sector or the retail sector. An increase in the use of cyber technology like cryptocurrency and e-commerce marketplaces led to an increase in the demand for data privacy. Demand for privacy resulted in an increase in regulation and laws over how data is used, as well as an increase in technology tools and platforms created to serve users who prefer anonymity. While the initiation of data anonymization tool helps in protecting users' personally identifiable information, these tools are also used by entities who intend to conduct illegal and criminal activities. In 2011, the Silk Road was born out of a need to connect illegal drug sellers with interested buyers online while protecting their identities and transactions using anonymous techniques. Through a combination of data anonymization technology and a feedback trading system, Silk Road created a heaven for drug dealers. The site was accessible only through a network known as Tor, which exists mainly to anonymize users' data and activities online. Tor obfuscates users' address so they appear hidden to unwanted parties looking to surveil their users' transactions and activities. For this reason, Silk Road buyers and sellers brazenly conducted illegal drug transactions without fear of their IP addresses being tracked back to them. Another reason Silk Road thrived was the buyer feedback implemented on the platform. Buyers normally would provide feedback on seller after receipt of their goods. The feedback received was then used by the site to weed out fraudulent sellers, while reputable sellers had their product highly sought after. This promoted buyers' confidence on the online platform. All trades on Silk Road were conducting using the increasingly popular digital currency known as Bitcoin. Every Bitcoin transaction is recorded on a public ledger, which is easily accessible to legal and regulatory bodies. Due to the transparency evident in Bitcoin transactions, dark wallets were invented with the primary purpose of encrypting and masking all Bitcoin transactions. Silk Road participants who used these Bitcoin wallets to fund their transactions enjoyed and added a layer of privacy. Products and sales of Silk Road. In March 2013, the site had 10,000 products for sale by vendors, 70% of which were drugs. Drugs were grouped under the heading stimulants, psychedelics, prescriptions, steroids, etc. Fake driver licenses were also offered for sale. The site's terms of services prohibited the sale of certain items. When the Silk Road Marketplace first began, the creator and administrators instituted terms of services that prohibited the sale of anything whose purpose was to harm or to defraud. This included child pornography, stolen credit cards, assassinations, and weapons of any type. Other darknet markets such as Black Market Reloaded gained users because they were not as restrictive on these items as the Silk Road had. There were also legal goods and services for sale, such as apparel, art, books, cigarettes, jewelry, and writing services. A sister site called The Armory sold weapons during 2012 but was shut down due to lack of demand. Buyers were able to leave a review of sellers' products on the site and in an associated forum, where crowdsourcing provided information about the best sellers and the worst scammers. Most products were delivered through the mail, while the site's sellers guide instructions sellers how to vacuum seal their products to escape detection. Based on data from 3rd February 2012 to 24 July 2012, an estimated 15 million in transactions were made annually on Silk Road. 12 months later, Nicholas Christian, the study's author, said in an interview that a major increase in volume to somewhere between 30 million to 45 million would not surprise him. Buyers and sellers conducted all transactions with bitcoins, a cryptocurrency that provides a certain degree of anonymity. Silk Road held buyers' bitcoins in escrow until the order had been received, and a hedging machine allowed sellers to opt for the value of bitcoins held in escrow to be fixed their value in US dollars at the time of the sale to mitigate against bitcoin's volatility. Any changes in the price of bitcoins during the transit were covered by Dread Pirate Roberts. The complaint published when Ross Williams was arrested included information the FBI gained from a system image of the Silk Road server collected on 23rd July 2013. It noted that from February 6, 2011 to July 23, 2013, there were approximately 1 billion transactions completed on the site. The total revenue generated from the sales was around 9 billion bitcoins, and the total commission collected by the Silk Road for the sales amounted to 600,000 bitcoins. According to the government, total sales were equivalent to roughly around 183 million and involved around 146,000 buyers and 3,877 vendors. According to information users provided upon registering, 30% were from the United States, 20% were from undeclared, and beyond that descending order of prevalence. The United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, Canada, Sweden, France, Russia, Italy, and the Netherlands. During a 60-day period from 24th May to 23rd July, there were around 1 billion messages sent to over Silk Road private messaging system. The fall of Silk Road. The Silk Road came to its demise in 2013 after the FBI, after learning about the existence of hidden marketplaces, colluded with the DEA, IRS, and custom agents. Although the federal agents admitted that the use of Tor and Bitcoin to obscure addresses were major obstacles that they encountered, they were still able to crack down on the underground drug market. The FBI shut down the site permanently, seized more than 144,000 bitcoins that valued over $34 million, and arrested a number of users of the site including the founder, Ross Williams, who made about 80 million in commission from transactions carried out within the site. Ross Williams was convicted in 2015 and is currently serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Alphabay. Alphabay is a darknet market operating both as an onion service on the Tor network and as an I2P node on I2P. After it was shut down in July 2017 following law enforcement action in the United States, Canada, and Thailand as part of Operation Bayonet. It was relaunched in August 2021 by the self-described co-founder and security administrator DSnake. The alleged original founder, Alexander Cassis, a Canadian citizen born in 19th October 1991, was found dead in his cell in Thailand several days after his arrest, with police suspecting suicide. Alphabay reportedly launched in September 2014, pre-launched in November 2014, and officially launched on December 22, 2014. It saw a steady growth with 14,000 new users in the first 90 days of operation. The darknet informer website Gwen.net placed Alphabay Market in the top tier of markets regarding the 6-month survival probability, and it had proven to be successful. In October 2015, it was recognized as the largest online darknet market according to the Dan Palumbo, research director at the Digital Citizen Alliance. Non-standard services included customizable digital contacts and building reputations. In May 2015, the site announced an integrated digital contracts and escrow system. The contract system allows users to make engagements and agree to provide services in the future according to the terms of the contract. By October 2015, Alphabay had over 200,000 users. At the time of its demise in July 2017, Alphabay had over 400,000 users. Alphabay is noteworthy in the world darknet markets for accepting another cryptocurrency in addition to Bitcoin, support for Monero. Supposedly, more Anonymous was implemented at the end of August 2016. Seizure and shutdown of Alphabay. By July 2017, Alphabay was 10 times the size of its predecessor Silk Road, which had over 369,000 listings, 400,000 users, and was facilitating around $600 to $800,000 of transactions per day, and had reportedly built a strong reputation. However, a series of elementary operational security errors led to its downfall. About the time the service first began in December 2014, Kazis used his Hotmail address as the from address in the system-generated welcome and password reset emails, which he also used for his LinkedIn profile and his legitimate computer repair businesses in Canada. Kazis used a pseudonym Alpha02 to run the site, which he had previously used since at least 2008, and variously advertised this identity as the designer, administrator, and owner of the site. When Kazis was arrested, he was logged into his laptop performing an administrative reboot on an Alphabay server in direct response to a law enforcement created artificial system failure. Furthermore, encryption was wholly absent on said laptop. Kazis' laptop reportedly contained an unencrypted personal net worth statement mapping all global assets across multiple jurisdictions, conveniently leading police to complete asset seizure. The servers were hosted at a company in Canada directly linked to his person. The servers contain multiple constantly open hot cryptocurrency wallets. Kaz's flashy use of proceeds to purchase property, passports, and luxury cars, and frequently online boasting about his financial successes, including posting videos of himself driving luxury cars acquired through illegal proceeds, not only revealed his geographical location, it, it made denying connections to the service impossible. Assets acquired through the proceeds were held in variety of accounts directly linked to Cassis, his wife, and companies they owned in Thailand, as well as directly held personal accounts in Cyprus and Switzerland. Kaz's statement about the goal of for the site was launched in September 2014, and its goal is to become the largest eBay-style underworld marketplace, helped to legally establish intent. Kronos malware. Kronos is a type of Trojan which itself is a type of malware pretending to be something else, like a harmless email attachment, but is actually something far nastier ready to infect a victim's computer. Trojans are commonly spread via email attachments, and once downloaded, can give attackers free rein to snoop and steal sensitive information like financial data, emails, and passwords. Kronos first appeared on a Russian underground forum in 2014, selling for $7,000. The IBM researchers who found it said that the Trojan offered multiple modules for evading detection and analysis, as well as an option for potential buyers to test the malware for a week before actually committing to a purchase. Kronos gave buyers the tools to grab banking details for victim machines, using a process called keylogging. It was equipped with a form grabbler for stealing login credentials when accessing banking services, and worked on the web browsers Chrome, Internet Explorer, and Firefox. The Trojan also used an untraceable injection method that was able to bypass common antivirus softwares. The business side of this offer is interesting as well. Most malware today is sold in low $100, sometimes even offered for free due to several malware source code leaks. Comparatively, the Kronos malware carries a hefty cost of $7,000. Kronos also came with some extra features. It could change the format of banking web pages to add extra forms for users to input, like PIN codes, in the hope of scooping up extra information from unwitting victims. Kronos is an ongoing threat to both privacy and security. During last year, it was one of the 6 banking Trojan variants to attack Canadian banks, according to the security researchers at Proofpoint. During this attack, Kronos was used inside a fake Microsoft security alert that tried to get users to open an infected file. Since the discovery of Kronos in July 2014, there have been many numerous global attacks linked to the Trojan. In August 2014, a security researcher found traces of Kronos stealing money from French bank accounts. In October 2014, IBM researchers identified Kronos attacking banks and financial institutions in the UK, as well as one bank in India. Thank you. Now my teammate Bimal will take it on from here.
Hi, I'm Yesha. So, my topic is why more effective 24 by 7 and holiday protections are needed. So, cybercrime violates individuals' privacy and security of their data. Data is considered a commodity online and offline by both legal and illegal actors. For this reason, data is a primary target of cybercriminals. Data also plays an integral role in the commission of many cybercrimes, primarily because it is not adequately protected and can be illicitly accessed and obtained. To protect cyber attack, we should keep data under protection for 24 by 7 and it should include holiday protection too. In the year of 2020 to 2021, there were many types of cybercrimes which was reported. 23% of cybercrime was related to fraud, 17% of cybercrime which was related to online shopping scams, 12% of cybercrimes was related to online banking scams, and 48 were others. Why 24 by 7 data protection is needed? Data is more important than ever since business environments are becoming more and more digital. Some of the considerations included in a solid data protection plan are related to planning, analysis, testing, compliance, audits, and risk determination, along with data integrity, privacy, and efficiency. Our goal is a constant one. It has no finish line and it must be constantly 24 by 7 data protection. It's not just a goal, it's a charge to protect an indispensable aspects of doing business. Rival ransomware. What is Rival? Rival is an ambitious criminal ransomware as a service which is called as vast enterprise that first come to prominence in April 2019 following the demands of another ransomware gang. Rival has gained a reputation for attempting to extort far larger payments from its corporate victims than typically seen in other attacks. It is actively promoted underground cybercrime forms as the best choice for attacking business networks where there is more money to be made than infecting the computer of your home user. Aside from the many high-profile companies and organizations who have fallen foul of Revil, it is stealing data from the computers and networks of its victims before they are encrypted. This is a technique of applying additional pressure on victims which is becoming more and more commonplace. Ransomware gangs has been known to offer 24 by 7 technical support, subscriptions, affiliate schemes and online forms just like legitimate online companies. They know that offering a quality service to their criminal-minded clients will help both sides of ventures to become rich at the victim's expense. With a ransomware attack happening every 11 seconds, companies need to go beyond prevention and detection. There should be recovery strategy for protecting from rival ransomware. First, lightning fast. Recover your entire production environment with warm DR in minutes or hours, not days and weeks, through one-click simplicity. Second, secure. Isolate your entire production environment and keep out threats with air-gapped backups. Third, immutable. HYCU backups are your last line of defense thanks to the warm, write once, read many based immutable design that shields Hypervision cloud platforms, NAS sets, and physical servers from ransomware threats. Fourth, resilient, which is get back to the business with a DR solution that sees through VMs to ensure your data is fully application consistent and ready to go. The GDPR, which is called as General Data Protection Regulation, is one of the most well-known data privacy and security laws on the planet. The regulation was introduced in 2016 and provided companies with a two-year runway before coming into effect in 2018. Sensitive data is everywhere, and too often controls and measures designed to guard data are overlooked. GDPR was born of the idea that individuals need access to and control over how their sensitive data is gathered and shared, while companies need greater accountability for their role in the collection and processing of personal information. There are seven key points which is highlighted by GDPR which can be described the importance to protect the data every time. The first is extensive data protection measures. Second, 24 by 7 professional monitoring. Third, specialized and skilled personnel. Fourth, GDPR complaint server operations. Fifth, regular data backups. Sixth, encrypted transport routes, and seventh, certified EU data centers. 10 reasons why the holidays can be a hotbed for cybercrime. The first, long spells of being offline allows suspicious activity to go undetected. Second, employees who work remotely during the holidays are easier target because they are using public Wi-Fi places confidential data and the digital business resource at risk of data breaches. Third, the fake holiday shopping deals target one of the most urged to this season. Fourth, the given rate of e-commerce activity taking place, sniffers are more common. Fifth, your hardware is at greater risk to beware of opening up your offices to external parties. Sixth, offers that sound suspicious at other times of the year don't seem as malicious during the holidays. Seventh, gift cards are the perfect Trojan horses. Eighth, the holiday mood might make people more careless about cybercrime. Ninth, signing up for the fake rewards or other offers compromises the password security exponentially. Tenth, a combination of increased e-commerce activity, relaxed cyber security, and the influx of spam offers make the holiday a hotbed for cybercrime. Why holiday protection is needed against cybercrime? For cybercriminals, the sudden shift to e-commerce for both shoppers and retailers is a gold rush. According to the FBI, cybercrime has increased by 400% this year. Increasingly savvy cybercriminals are deploying tactics like e-skimming attacks where they inject malicious code into website payment processing pages in order to siphon credit cards and accounts credentials from the customers. What does this mean all for consumers? It could mean that credit card data is up for sale on dark web forms right now without shoppers ever being aware of it. In fact, recent VMware Carbon Black research into dark web form found swiped credit cards information for sale on the dark web for the mere cost of $10 per high balance card. Similarly, PayPal accounts are selling for $2 to $10 each, which prices varies based on how much is available in the account. The reality is that holiday hacking possesses a serious significant risk for consumers and the challenges for the retailers. The good news is that there are ways to step one step ahead of attackers via cyber self-defense, which will be explain in next slide. Protect from cybercrime on holidays. The first, make a backup of your important data. Make backups of the most important files, photos, and videos saved to your laptops, tablets, smartphones, and other devices. Making a backup of your electronic files might seem like a hustle, but doing the work up front could pay off later if a hacker target you. Second, don't pay up. As the agency says that there is no guarantee that these criminals will release your file after they receive your payment. If they don't, you are not only still locked out of your files, you will also be out hundreds or thousands of dollars. Paying ransoms also encourages hackers to launch future ransomware attacks, that the FBI says. Third, watch out for phishing attacks. Phishing attacks are a common scam that criminals use to trick victims into providing sensitive personal information or downloading malicious files on their computers or other devices. Hackers will send victims an email or text that looks like it comes from a legitimate source such as bank, utility, or credit card company. The message might warn that the recipient's account will be shut down if they don't click on a link to register that account information. This could be a phishing attack and you should be aware of it. Fourth, avoid public Wi-Fi. It's tempting to log into public Wi-Fi when shopping for holiday or visiting holidays, which presents at malls and stores. Be careful though. Public Wi-Fi is a notorious unsecure. It's easy for hacker to spy on your online activity, possibly nabbing password and login information while doing so when you are using public Wi-Fi. Fifth, make sure your security software is updated. It's smart to protect your device with the latest security software, but make sure too not to ignore the suggested updates of the antivirus tools. You can adjust your settings to allow updates to occur automatically.